Good morning, friends. It's Lisa with Hand Letter Design. We are doing Mental Health Monday, and I have had a lot of people ask me about how to talk to their family and friends about their mental health when they're struggling. And some of it is kind of how to break it to them. Some of it is how do I communicate how they can help me. So today I'm just gonna talk about that a little bit. On my Instagram post this morning, I asked for people if they wanted to ask questions there. So I'm gonna address some of those questions. And thank you so much. And so I'm gonna do that. As many of you know, I love hand lettering, and it's actually been an amazing way for me to cope a little bit with my depression and anxiety. It hasn't cured it. I do a lot of different things to help with my mental health, and I just had the impression that I should start sharing a little bit more about my mental health journey. So it does connect with the hand lettering in that the lettering helps me a lot to have a creative outlet, to focus on meaningful words and mantras. But I also just love to share anything that's helped me in my mental health journey, so that even if it's just one person that gets help from it, it's so worth it for me. So here we are. It's Mental Health Monday. Don't mind if I'm out of breath. I'm 36 weeks pregnant. Here we go. Here's the big belly. And I'm just sort of out of breath all the time, but we're just gonna keep going anyway. So one of the questions that I got was about how can I talk to my husband about my mental health when it's just something that you can't understand if you haven't been through it. You really cannot understand it if you haven't been through it. A lot of the Mental Health Mondays that I do are like a little bit lighter, and we kind of talk about relationships, and they apply to just everybody. This is kind of more for people who are really struggling. Maybe you have been struggling for a long time. Maybe you have a diagnosis. It doesn't really matter. All that matters is that if you're struggling and you feel like you are ready or feel the need to share with your people around you, and you're just not quite sure how to do that. Most likely, I hate to tell you this, but people closest to you can probably already tell that there's something going on. For me, it wasn't really like a huge shock, like, oh, by the way, I'm kind of struggling. It was like, yeah, we know. But it's still not always easy to have that conversation. So we're going to talk about it. And to answer the question of how do I, share this with my husband or whoever is close to me when they can't understand unless they've been through it themselves. And the answer is that, well, I don't know what the real answer is. This is my experience. My experience is that they won't totally understand, but the more you can share with them, the more they can empathize and the more they can try. Because the more that you keep it from them and just stay isolated, the harder it is for them to help you and to be empathetic and kind. I guess empathy might be if you've experienced it, but they can try. So for example, with my husband, he has known about all of my mental health issues since we were dating. I was fortunate in a lot of ways that I figured a lot of this stuff out before we got married, before I ever started dating him. Honestly, there's a whole other story about, I don't think I ever would have gotten married if I hadn't really dealt with my mental health. I went to years of therapy, and it helped me so much to have a healthy relationship. But anyway, I was able to talk to him about it before I ever got married. So I like to tease him that he already knew going in, full disclosure, but it doesn't matter whether people know or not. or whether you knew or not, or whether this is something that's come up for you recently. The point is, they love you and they're most likely going to want to help you. So I have been I've been asking him kind of like what's been helpful, and I kind of had to get over myself a little bit with wanting him to do and say the right thing. Now, when you are really depressed, no one can say the right thing. Not even yourself. No one can say the right thing. Everything's the wrong thing. You feel bad. You're hard on yourself. You feel like everyone's being hard on you. And so for me, I had to try really hard to get over hoping that he would say the right thing and just tell him what to say. Now, that's for specific situations, like when I'm crying or when I'm upset. I decided on what I wanted him to do, what was actually going to be helpful. After enough times, I kind of came up with what I thought was going to be helpful, and I just told him. So this is a little separate from I'm going to get to breaking it to someone. But but when we would just be talking and I'd be really upset and depressed or anxious or whatever it might be, he always wanted to fix it, or he wouldn't say anything because he didn't know what to say. And so, or maybe he had said the wrong thing in the past, and so he didn't want to say the wrong thing again. Oh my gosh, poor guy. And so I finally was like, you know what? I think I know what I need him to say, and I'm just going to tell him. And so I have a few things that really help me, and I just told him exactly what to say, and he says, and then he says them, and it's so helpful. Okay, so I'm going to tell you what those things are. I wrote them down here. Okay, the number one thing that I love for my husband to tell me when I'm crying or upset or whatever, opening up to him, is, "That sounds so hard." That's it. That sounds so hard. And I'm like, yes, it is so hard. Thank you. And I told him to say that, but it still helps me when he says it. Okay? So, that sounds so hard. I love you so much. I'm so sorry you're going through this. Those types of just supportive comments just help me feel supported, and that's what I want to hear. And so it took some time for me to kind of figure out what it was that he could say that would help me during those moments, and then I just told him. And now he just knows. It's a beautiful thing. I had to kind of get over myself and get over the fact that I wanted him to somehow read my mind, somehow be a trained therapist, somehow know the perfect thing to say. It's like, why did I do that? Why did I think that, the poor guy, he's just like, I love you, I just don't know what to do. So, okay, so that's one tip. Just tell them what to say. Whether it's your husband or a friend or your mom or someone who's there for you a lot, you can say, you know what? When I'm feeling really down and frustrated, I'm not really ready for solutions. I'm not really ready for this or that. What really helps me is when someone can just say, "That sounds so hard." That's it, just validating. And so there you go. Because when you're in a really, really dark, depressed place, solutions don't really help. No one can solve it. You can't solve it. It's just you feel stuck. But having that love and support really does help. Okay, so there's that. And then also knowing, okay, so let's talk for a second about breaking the news to someone. So whether it's your boyfriend, your husband, a friend, a sister, whoever, and you feel like, I need to tell someone, maybe you don't have a diagnosis, maybe you don't even know what it is yet, but you know something isn't right. What helps me is just to say, hey, I need to tell someone something, or I really want to tell you this. I really have not been feeling right lately, and I haven't been feeling myself. I normally feel this way, and lately I've just been like, I feel like I've sort of lost my like sense of joy for life, or I've been really, really tired and I've been really struggling to get out of bed, or I've been having a lot of anxiety, or whatever your symptoms are. Just share, say, you know what, I just have not been feeling myself lately, and this is kind of what's been going on, and I really don't like feeling this way, and I am ready to get some help, and I just wanted to let you know how I've been feeling. And or if you do have a diagnosis or something more concrete you want to share, you can say, just tell a little bit of what your story is. You can say, you know what is so crazy is that I've kind of felt this way my whole life, and I've never known what it was, and I never knew what to do, and I finally went to a therapist or a doctor or whoever and realized that I've been suffering from depression, and I'm so glad that I figured this out, because now I can get better help. And I just wanted to share it with you because I know you love me and care about me, and I just want you to know what I'm going through. So that's my just kind of method for how I approach telling someone about this. Now, someone in the comments of my post said, how do you talk to like your in-laws who maybe have a stigma about mental health? They think you just need to suck it up or whatever it might be. And my advice is to just say, I don't expect you to understand this, but I still want to share with you kind of what's going on. This is how this affects my life. This is what I'm trying to do to kind of take care of it. In that same comment, they also asked, like, how do you let people know without asking for or making it seem like you're asking for pity or whatever? And I say, just give them the facts and let them know, like, you know what, this is what's going on for me, and I know that you may not be super familiar with this, and that's okay. It really is a health issue, and it's something that this is how I'm kind of dealing with it. Or you can say, I'm dealing with it. You don't have to let them know. You don't have to give anyone, you don't have to tell anyone anything. You don't have to give anyone, you don't owe anyone an explanation of how you're coping or what medication you're trying or what therapy you're doing. Like, you don't know, you don't have to tell anyone any of that. If you want to, you can. You can say, you know what, I'm started going to therapy, it's helping me a ton, but I still struggle, and I'm still gonna struggle for a while. Or you can say, I am working on it on my own. It's a really personal thing for me, but I still just wanted you to know, because I know you care about me. And the best way that you can help me is blank. And that's different for everyone. So if you want to say the best way you can help me is to leave me alone. I'm just kidding. Maybe it is. Maybe that is. Maybe that is the best thing. Maybe you want to say the best thing, like what I really need right now is some space. Like, when I'm feeling this way, I actually just need a lot of time to rest and to feel better. And if you don't understand this, it's okay. I don't expect you to understand it. I don't expect you to fix it. That's the other thing. When people come in and they want to fix it, and you say, this isn't something that's just a super easy fix. This isn't something that I'm making up in my head. And when you're feeling really depressed, it's really hard to be really confident about that, because sometimes you question yourself, am I making this up in my head? Okay? That's part of the illness. That is part of the illness, is that it tells you you're making it up. Okay? But you're not. So that gets a little tricky. None of this is easy when I'm sharing. And right now I'm in a pretty good place. So it's easy for me to talk about it and say, this is what I would say. But I'm still sharing it because I still want to try to help answer some of these questions. And I get these questions a lot. And so I would just share that and say, I don't expect, this isn't something I can fix right away. This isn't something anyone can fix right away. But this is something that I still wanted to share with you. because I know that you care about me, and just your love and support means a lot. And then if they say, how can I help? You can say, you know what, actually would really help me is I could use some help with the kid. Like if you have kids, like when you come and help take the kids for a few hours, it really helps me get to do some meditation or take a nap or go for a walk or read or whatever it is to reset. Like whatever it is that maybe you figured out is helpful for you, just be honest. The other thing that has helped me is with people close to me to have just a way to share. With maybe there's just a terminology that helps you. So when I was really, really, really depressed, really bad, I had a friend who had gone through it already, and she was so amazing. And she said, whenever you're really feeling so terrible, just text me and tell me you have a stomach ache, and I'll know what that means, and you just need someone you can tell. And I remember being like, okay, but it was kind of helpful for me to not have to be like, I'm feeling depressed. I had like a code word, and I kind of did have a stomach ache also when I was feeling anxious and depressed, so it was kind of not like completely a lie or completely a code word, but it just helped me have a way to say, hey, I've got a stomach ache, I'm not gonna make it, to a social function or whatever it might be. And this friend would come over and help me, and she was amazing. But having just a way, even if it's with your husband, like I know my last name is Funk, and so it's really funny for me to say I'm kind of in a funk, but that's how I'll tell my mom or my husband or something. I'll be like, you know what, I've just been feeling kind of off lately, and they know what that means. They know that means I don't feel quite right, and I, am feeling either anxious or depressed or whatever. And be like, you know what, I've been feeling kind of off lately, or I'm not feeling right, or whatever, however I want to describe it. But just those little kind of subtle ways, they can kind of take the hint, like, okay, and I can say it's not really terrible, but it's just enough that I feel like I need to tell you. And I'll say that. I'll say it's not terrible, but I just feel like I need to tell someone, like I'm starting to feel this way. I hope it doesn't get worse, but I just want you to know. The other thing is try your very hardest to not take on their emotion. However they respond when you tell them that you struggle or that you're struggling or whatever, try really hard not to take on their emotion. If they are in denial about it, that's okay. If they, like you probably were in denial about it for years. I was in denial about it for years. So for me to share it with somebody else and for them to be like, oh, but you seem so happy and fine. You're like, yeah, I don't really show it. I save it for myself, and it's lovely to just deal with it on my own all the time. But that's the truth for me. I don't really show it in public. I live my life and I smile, and a lot of people call it smiling depression because I go and I drop my kids off places and then I'm actually really struggling sometimes. But I don't tell everyone. So, and not everyone needs to know. It's okay not to tell everyone. But that's just another thing that I recommend is just try your hardest not, like whatever their response is, just let them have their response and just say, it's fine for you to feel however you're going to feel, and that's okay. And you can deal with that, and I'm going to deal with my stuff, and I'm going to do my best to take care of myself. Do you guys have any other questions? I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Sharing like books or pamphlets or blog articles can be really helpful, because sometimes it's hard for you to explain it, but you can say, you know what, it's kind of hard for me to explain what I'm going through, but I have this blog article that I read that's really helpful. If you're interested, I'll send it to you, and if you're interested, you can read it, and if not, you don't have to. When I was like starting to go to therapy and really facing, like really dealing with my depression, I sent a couple books to my mom and my sisters, and I just said, this is what I'm going through, and if you're interested and want to know. And they did. They really did. They wanted to understand as best as they could. Of course, they can't understand unless they've been through it themselves, but I could still share and just try to share what I had. So anyway, I hope that's been helpful. I know it's kind of a lot, but it's a question I get all the time, and I just wanted to share what's helped me. And just, I'll tell my husband, like, just because I'm dealing with this doesn't mean I'm not going to still feel, just because I'm trying to get help or whatever, I'm still going to feel anxious. I'm still going to feel depressed. I'm going to be irritable sometimes. I'm going to be moody sometimes. Try not to take it personally. Like, I'm really doing my best, and I love you. Just know that I love you, even though I don't always act like I like anyone because I'm struggling so much. So anyway, I hope that helps. Let me see if there's any other questions. Okay. Thank you so much for joining me. If you'll go back to my last post that says talking to your loved ones about your mental health, just leave some hearts or any insights you got from this or any of your ideas about sharing. I know somebody mentioned that they have their husband go with them to their therapy appointments. I think that can be super helpful, and realize that they may not ever totally understand, and it may take years. I mean, my husband is like a champ now at dealing with this, but we've been married for 10 years. And so he's had a lot of time to kind of figure some of this stuff out. So anyway, don't you hate when people say, maybe you need meds? Well, I do. I have taken meds for a really long time, but I hate when people try to solve it, period. I hate when people say, oh, well, my sister tried these herbs, or, oh, all you need to do is essential oils, or, oh, have you tried, maybe you just gain out and gain some fresh air or some exercise, or, yeah, no, I totally get it. For sure. I do believe that any of those things can help people. But when someone tries to solve it and tell you all you need is this, it's like, ooh, that's really tough. It's really tough to hear that. So when someone says that, you can say, thank you so much for caring about me. I am totally trying my own stuff, and I'm working really hard, or whatever, however you want to respond. But just be like, thank you so much for caring about me and trying to help me come up with solutions. You know what's actually really the most helpful is just loving me through this. I've got a lot of ideas, and there's so many options for how to deal with this that I just really have to, for me, I'm a spiritual person. So for me, I would say I really do pray about it and pray for like, what's the next step that I should try. But whether or not you're religious, you can say, I just have to really think about it and feel like what's the right next thing for me to try, because you cannot try everything at once. It's impossible. So for me, I just have to try one thing at a time. And yeah, I do these chats once a week on Mondays, Mental Health Monday, so that I can just share anything that's helped me. And even if it just helps one of you, it's totally worth it. So also, if you have any other questions, you can go back to the last post and comment there, or message me on Instagram. And I hope that you are having a wonderful day. Thanks for being here, guys. I'll talk to you later.